Shooting in RAW gives you the most flexibility when editing your photos, but it also means that your hard drive is going to fill up quick, which leaves a lot of photographers asking, should I keep my RAW files or should I trash them? It's a fair question. Once you've finished editing your RAW file, you export the finished version as a JPEG. And since the photo is finished, why not save space by trashing the large, flat, soft RAW file? Well, photography is a funny thing. When I first started in photography, I didn't think I wanted anything to do with editing. I wanted to get it all right in camera to prove that I was a real photographer. But after 10 years of shooting professionally and, countless personal images, when I look back at those photos, I can tell you that I had no idea what I was, trying to say as a photographer. Even though at the time, I thought I did. I would have a subject, I would put them in some good light, and if I was lucky, I'd get a good moment. But those artistic decisions simply weren't there. They were better than snapshots, but far from professional quality. Photos would be just under or just overexposed. Photos with a white balance, so cool that you would think that I was on the set of Terminator, or skin tones that made my subjects just look like Oompa Loompas. These are things that I simply wasn't even thinking of because I just didn't have enough experience shooting. I didn't have enough experience reviewing my own photos to know what works and what doesn't. And I didn't have enough experience editing to help inform how I could shoot better. It's not until you have years of those things under your belt that you do have any idea of what you're trying to say as a photographer. And even now, after 10 years, my voice and my style of photography is constantly progressing, and that's the way that it should be. But I do wish that I still had the ability to go back and edit those earliest photos. And that's a large price to pay for, being able to simply share my photos faster. But on the opposite side of the coin, shooting in JPEG allowed me to focus all of my attention on simply learning photography and how to use my camera to achieve the image that I wanted to get. Knowing myself personally and how I best learn, if I had to focus on learning two things at once, how to use my camera and how to edit photos, well, there's a real good chance that, I would be overwhelmed and possibly lose interest in photography. You take a shot and you think, well, it's not exactly what I wanted, but rather than trying to fix it right here, right now with the right camera settings, I'm sure that I can just fix this in editing. And then not only do you have to learn a new editing technique, but then you have to pull it off with a pretty high degree of proficiency, only to be disappointed because, well, it's your first time doing it. And, how can you expect somebody trying something for the first time to be an expert? And that leaves your original photo with a lot to be desired. When you only have the ability to control your camera, you will then do the best that you can to get the photo right in camera, giving you a good base. Hey, Raymond, so do I delete the raw files or no? Oh, right. Well, no. Yes. Well, okay, if I could go back, I would shoot RAW plus JPEG, but with no intentions of ever using the RAW files. What I mean by that is that I would shoot for the JPEG, right? Get the photo as good as possible out of camera. And then I would put those RAW files in a folder in the dark depths of my hard drive until 10 years from now, when you go back and you think on your journey in photography and how far you've come as an artist, and you want to revisit some of those earliest photos. So should you delete your RAW files? Well, in this case, no, I wouldn't. But that said, each year I do delete tens of thousands of RAW files. Shooting professionally, actually, that doesn't matter. You go out and you shoot, right? And you take a lot of photos. And then when you load those photos on your computer, do you like every single one of them? If you do, you are an anomaly, because I will shoot 3,000 to 4,000 photos at a wedding, but I'll deliver just under 1,000. The rest of those photos are either duplicates, as I was trying to, get the right moment. Maybe the photo was out of focus, the composition didn't work, or a combination of those three things. So then 1 year after a wedding, I will delete the raw files that I didn't use. I only wait a year because that gives me time in case the couple says, hey, whatever happened to that, photo of so-and-so doing that funny thing? And then I'll just go back and, look for it. Typically it's a bad composition or, light, but hey, they want it, so I give it to them. For the photos that I do deliver, I do keep those raws as forever. I don't delete those images for the same reasons that I mentioned before. 10 years from now, I'm sure that my voice as a photographer will change. I hope it does. And, I may not like my images so warm. I may not like my greens foresty and I want them mintier. So yeah, I'm going to keep them. Oh, but they take up so much space on my computer. Yeah, Well, a whole wedding worth of raw files is about 30 to 40 gigabytes, and that is a lot of space if, you're limited. But that means that a, 8 terabyte external hard drive that you can buy for $149 can hold about 220 weddings. 220 weddings represents more than $500,000 in revenue for my wedding business that can all be held on a $149 hard drive. That's a bargain. So I'm going to keep them. I want to know, how do you handle your raw files? Let me know in a comment below. And if you found this video helpful, please be sure to subscribe for more helpful videos to help you become a better photographer today. Talk to you soon.